Hello, my little ninjas, and welcome to, well, this is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and tonight I have many videos for you. Well, not that many. Have to keep it a little bit short tonight. But we have some pretty good stuff. I have a gun control video, which I'm quite sure you will laugh your ass off at. New Mexico ended qualified immunity for police, or at least they voted to end qualified immunity for police. Immunity, which is freaking unheard of in this country. I have this guy, right? Is supposed to be a Capitol Hill police officer. They have an interview with him. You guys have probably seen it, where he's talking about how somebody kind of got a hold of his gun, and they're saying, "Oh, kill him with his own gun." Right? You probably seen that guy. I have a video of him saying the same thing, and I want to point out to you that when he says this, right at the end of it, he gets this big shit-eating grin on the end of it, like, "Oh, I got my lie out." Now, but that's not the big part of what it is I want you to see with that video. The big part is that he has a spider tattoo right here on his, a spider web tattoo right here on his neck. Spider web tattoo is a gang thing, okay? I don't know if there's police gangs or what it is, but that's a gang thing. And I find it really weird that we're taking, the word of gang members now. Okay, so I'm going to play that video for you momentarily. I have, wealth through cannabis video. That should be good, right? And a social media addiction video, because we know how you people are. Okay, so I want to take a bong hit to get started here, because we got this, I got a Bitcoin donation on Saturday night, and it was very nice, and I was surprised that happened. 25 bucks. I don't usually get 25 bucks. That's a big one. And I immediately turned it into Litecoins, and now it's 25%, no, 20% more, 10% more, 10% more. So it's 27.50. Fuck yeah. And what else is going on? Oh, we went for a very nice walk today. It was sunny. I could actually feel the warmth of the sun on my face. I haven't felt that for a while. And I also picked up the vast majority of my gardening supplies today. I think all I really need now is some genetics that I'm waiting on. 2 of them are in the mail, and I'm still in contact with the third company who says, we're going to send you seeds, but they said that they're having an issue with their U.S. stuff right now, so whatever that means. They said it might take an extra week or so. This was a month ago, so I'm working to get in touch with them, because they have a couple of very large autoflower plants that I'd like to share with you guys this summer. And they have super cool graphics for their logo, and I'd really like to get some. I'd really like to put that on the screen, you guys. All right, so that was for the person who sent me $25 in Bitcoin over the weekend. That was very nice of you. Thank you very much. Let's see, and I can play videos for you guys, or you can call. This is a call-in show. The number is right there on the screen. I'd be happy to discuss whatever you feel like discussing. I don't care. Cartoons, movies. I'm fucking very, very well informed on all these subjects. I'm not sure where to start if you guys aren't going to call. It looks like probably we should start. I'm going to start with this spider web tattoo guy because I might come back to this video and play it again. But again, this guy is one of the people, one of the so-called Capitol Hill police, and he's telling CNN that, and he has a spider web tattoo on his neck, and he's telling CNN that people were, I'm sure you guys have seen this before, he said, someone was getting a hold of my gun and they're screaming, kill him with his own gun, right? You guys have probably seen that before, but I have some close-ups of the guy's neck, and he has a tattoo of a spider web on his neck. Okay, as far as I understand, that's a gang tattoo. Not only is it a gang tattoo, but it's supposed to signify time in prison. So I don't know who it is that CNN is taking their credible news from, but I don't think that's a good source. So
Stripped away in 2013 when the Supreme Court invalidated key provisions of the Voting Rights Act. Arriving in Delaware, where he's spending the weekend at home, Biden noted that right now there are not enough votes in the Senate, even among Democrats, to change the filibuster rules.
Right now, that doesn't exist. So, look, the only thing I've been relatively good at in my long career in the Senate is figuring out when to move and when not to move. You got to have the votes.
On voting laws, all roads lead back to Trump, who is not only still lying about the election outcome, but also making false claims about the January 6th attack on the Capitol, trying to rewrite history.
Some of them went in and they're hugging and kissing the police and the guards. They had great relationships.
But that's not true. Just ask police officer Michael Fancone, who fought ardent Trump supporters for hours that day, trying to protect the Capitol.
And then some guys started getting a hold of my gun, and they were screaming out, kill him with his own gun.
Biden making clear that he, too, is still thinking often about Trump, blaming him for problems at the border and for laying the groundwork to make it far more difficult for those who didn't vote for him to cast ballots.
My predecessor. Oh, God, I miss him.
Now, it is clear that President Biden does have former President Donald Trump on his mind at some point, using him as a foil on some issues. But one thing is clear, even months after he has left office, the big lie that former President Trump repeated again and again is taking hold in some of these state legislatures. That is what is driving this change in voting laws. Now, of course, many of these will end up in legal challenges, but for now, at least, for this White House, they're subject to political challenges. How much capital is President Biden willing to put behind some of these federal voting reform acts? He, of course, wants to focus on infrastructure and rebuilding the economy. But clearly, this is an issue front and center that will impact him and, of course, elections to come. Jeff Zeleny, CNN, the White House.
That's not true. Just ask police officer Michael Fancone, who fought ardent Trump supporters for hours that day, trying to protect the Capitol.
And then some guys started getting a hold of my gun, and they were screaming out, kill him with his own gun.
I mean, that looks like a spider web tattoo to me. I don't know what you guys think, but that, this is the credible sources that that we have. This is the most credible source we can come up with. I don't mind people having a neck tattoo. That's no big deal to me. But again, that looks like a gang tattoo. Not only that, it's supposed to signify time in prison. Okay, so whoever that guy is, I find it very difficult to believe that he's a prison guard or whatever, such and so and such. Hello? Hello?
Hey, Mox, how are you?
I am okay. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. This is Otis out here in New York.
Hey, Otis.
What's going on?
I'm just doing this thing that I do. How about you?
Well, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just calling to see what's up. I watch the show all the time. I've seen many good things about the show. I don't know what's up with this guy. I think he might just be a Spider-Man fan. He might be a fan of Venom. Who knows?
No, you put a tattoo there, especially a gang tattoo, so that the other gang members know. That's why you put a tattoo there.
So what kind of gang is this? They crawl around like spiders? I don't know. I'm not into gangs. I don't know much about that.
No, I think honestly it's a prison gang from what I understand.
So is this, maybe he was a cop on the beat and he got pulled into one of these gangs and you don't know what happens and then it gets crazy, And then they start singing and hollering and who knows what's happening when that happens. You know what I'm saying, Mom?
Yeah, well, I saw him. He said that somebody struggled to get his gun and then they said, let's kill him with his own gun. And then he gets a big shit-eating grin on his face. Now, if I was to say somebody took my gun and they said, let's kill him with his own gun, I'd be like, it was the scariest thing ever. He gets a big shit-eating grin on his fucking face, okay? There's a serious issue with this guy.
Well, I could tell you something. I'll tell you this. I wasn't in the Capitol building, but I have an office near the Capitol building from my development studio, and we were down there that day, and it was wild, okay? Let me tell you, there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I don't know what this was about, but people even tried to break into my building, Mox. It was pretty out of control, and so I don't know what this guy is doing with the tattoo, but I can tell you something. They were trying to break into my building. We do a lot of work down there in Washington for the government. We do it for a lot of people. We do it, we put games out all over the world. And so, we got the studio in Washington. We got one in New York. We got one in actually Washington State even.
Well, did you see these people? Do you have them on camera? I mean, how is it you know that they were the ones who tried to break in?
Well, I don't know who was trying to break into my place, but there was people trying to break into my place because they just was in the air. You know what I'm saying, Mox? It was like something was in the air. People were going crazy. All these crazy people were there. And I don't know who's who. I don't know who's what. I just know that there were people that tried to break into my place. And I think they were trying to get into my server room or something to get to access to my code or whatever and, mess with my business. I don't know if they were under the guise. They were just doing this under the guise of everything was already madness. So then my place was at risk of getting looted.
This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say is that, they see on the news, oh, the police are totally distracted. Let's go do this thing, this job we've been talking about, right? Because you say you have no evidence that it was the protesters. These guys are carrying around Blue Lives Matter flags, man. Does that sound like somebody's going to break into your office?
Look, I'm not saying who it was. I'm not saying who it wasn't.
You said you did. You said it was the protesters. You said it's all the crazy. You should have been down there.
No, I said there's all kinds of crazy people down there. I didn't say who was what and who was anything. I don't know. All I can tell you is the people that showed up at my door and tried to break into my building. I'm calling them crazy people. I'm not saying, anybody is anybody except for nobody is nobody.
Well, how come you don't have cameras, dude?
Well, we do have cameras. We have it on camera. I see them banging on the windows. They're jumping up and down. They're going crazy. And I think they were trying to get our source code. We had a big release back in February, 1 month in the making, and they got wind of that. And I think, they knew what was going on. And they said, you know what, let's get this guy. They said they said, we think something's going to go down in January, whatever it was, the 5th, 6th, I forget what the actual date is. That's how long it's been, how crazy it's been.
Oh, January 6th, January 6th, that's what you're talking about, right?
Right, January 6th.
Yeah.
When all the madness was going down on in D.C. And so they decided to break into Otis Fuse Productions, and they thought they could get in. But we have good glass. We look, it's Washington, D.C., okay? There's always kind of madness going on down there. This is not anything new with Washington, D.C. When we built the building, the first thing, this is years ago we built this building. Okay, Mox, we built this building years ago, and they told us, you're going to want to spend the extra money for the security. You're going to want to put in cut glass, bulletproof glass. You're going to want to put it in because you're near the Capitol. You're in Washington, D.C. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And that was years ago, Mox. They told us this.
Yeah.
It was after the planes went down.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, Washington, D.C. has not really been the safest place for a long time. Hello?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. That's what it is. I couldn't agree more. See, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this, and people know that, and it's probably because it's a gun-free zone, for one thing.
Well, I'll tell you something, Mox. It's a gun-free zone, but you know what? Nobody stops me from carrying around.
Oh, you'll get fucked up, dude. If you don't have a permit, they will fuck you terribly. So you be careful, man.
Well, I'm not really worried about that. Okay, I'm not. Listen, I don't know. A certain type of person. You're in Washington D.C. Nobody's going to bother you. It's that simple. That's as simple as it gets sometimes. You know,
yeah,
I've never had a problem.
Look,
20 years I've been in D.C. We've had offices down there for 20 years almost.
Yeah,
we've never had a problem.
Right. Okay. Well, what all I'm saying is there was this lady, and she was from Arkansas, and she went to see the 9/11 memorial, and she went up to a cop and she said, "Hey, I have a gun and I want to lock it up somewhere safe. Can you tell me where to go and do that?" And the guy arrested her.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I'm just saying, be careful. That's all I'm saying, because they can fuck your world over that, especially in Washington, D.C.
Look, I get that. Listen, I get that better than anybody.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear it.
So, Max, I don't know if you saw the pictures came out. You saw the pictures came out of the guy that went into Pelosi's office and took that letter?
Uh-huh.
That's a famous one, right?
Actually, a lot of them are famous at this point.
Well, sure, why not? But that letter actually was an important letter, believe it or not. So he actually was doing some crazy stuff getting that letter because I don't know. Did you ever see the contents of that letter?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, we actually look. I don't know how to say this any other way, but I do business with everybody, right? I don't care, red, blue, green, white, whatever aisle, whatever country. Right? As long as the cash is green, you know what I'm saying, Max? So
I understand what you're saying.
Well, that's what it is, you know. And that's why we have offices in D.C. They have offices all over the place. You know, I don't want to go to D.C. I don't have to ever say to myself, like, oh, well, I should be in D.C. It's such a nice place. Let me go hang out there. And I don't think the people that were there on January 6th were at Washington, D.C. for their health. They were there because, you know, obviously they felt like something that was something, and they didn't know what was going on, and sideways and leftways. And so that's why I was in D.C. So long story short, that letter actually was something we had sent to Pelosi because we were trying to get the game off the ground. And sometimes you have to lobby with D.C. because all those restrictions and maturities and stuff, they don't want you to release things in certain countries. And Australia's is worse. The U.S. is actually, it looks like, so good compared to Australia. You look at Australia, the laws in Australia, you can't even have blood without, slapping somebody silly and making a game custom for them. So that's what we do. We make games like that. And so we were working with Pelosi because they're trying to pass some law to stop violence in video games and whatnot. And so we got to work both with the Democrats and Republicans on something like this. And actually, unfortunately, this is an issue that you actually kind of have to work a little bit closer with the Democrats on because they're more willing to budge like that, if you know what I'm saying. So that was something we were working on that day. And that letter actually was sent by Stephen Johnson from one of my offices, sent that to Pelosi. And when they got a hold of that, we were afraid that it was going to leak and it was going to be a big scandal. But then he didn't actually open the letter or anything like that. He was just kind of more proud to have that letter. And so
he was trying to show that where he was at, and that the people now occupy the speaker's house.
Yeah, and he didn't bar us with that. He didn't reveal the contents. That's what I was saying. So like, you didn't know the contents of that letter. Well, he never revealed it, and I'll be the first to tell you, I still don't want the contents of that letter getting out there. But the fact that he didn't reveal it spoke volumes to me, and I appreciate that. So I never ever heard that guy's name, but I'm sure it's out there. I'm not trying to dox him or anything, but if you're listening, dude, I appreciate what you did, and thank you for not exposing it or anything like that. I mean, that's just business, so it's much appreciated. You understand that.
I don't think those people were there to hurt anybody, dude. I don't see that. That's not why they went there.
Yeah, we were really worried that the release date of our game was going to get announced prematurely. Like I said, we do game development, some in Washington, D.C., some across the world, Europe, and we were trying to break into the Asian market. And one of our big releases and one of our big trade secrets was out there, and we were really worried that it was going to get released prematurely. And, with the office at risk down there, that was something we were worried about. And thankfully, it just worked out, Mox. That like I said, there was people banging and screaming at the doors and stuff, but I don't think they were expecting it to be bulletproof, and that was not very well planned. That they had planned. It was obviously planned, but it wasn't well planned. So when they came to the doors and tried to break into Otis Fuse Studios, it just didn't work out for them. Well, if they did, it would have been bad, because those servers that we had there are connected to a worldwide network. And so obviously they could have gotten the source for our engine, our game, everything, and they could have done a lot of damage. And with that note on Pelosi's death too, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen, and so really nothing did happen. We had a couple of scratches on the glass. We had to wipe them clean. We wiped the glass clean, and then everybody went to work the next day. So you go to a couple extra checkpoints with the National Guard there. That's fine. You make some new friends. You'll bring them a soda, a coffee, or something in the morning, and that's it. And life goes on. You know what I'm saying?
I know what it is that you are saying. Congratulations on your new game. I hope you do great with it. I can't stand these people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. These are the people that are keeping humanity from evolving into its next evolution. Moving boldly into the 21st century. These are the people who think, somehow that freedom of speech needs to be, suppressed, just as our, next evolution. That's what they're doing. The only way we can have the next evolution is with the maximum amount of freedom, and all they do is keep it locked down. So I don't care what happens to them. And I mean, it has nothing to do with you and your business. I'm just saying, again, I don't think the protesters were there to hurt people. I think they wanted to go into the people's house and let them know, hey, this shit ain't flying. And then the cops tried to block them. And every time cops got out of the way, the people were shaking their hand and patting them on the back. So they weren't spray painting anything. They weren't toppling statues over. They weren't, ripping down 100-year-old paintings that can't be replaced. I don't think they were there to hurt anything.
Yeah, like I said, nobody got hurt. The place was fine.
Well, no, 5 people died. Or 6 people, 5, 6 people.
Well, I'm talking about where I was.
Good.
My people were safe.
Yeah, good.
That's what's important. But obviously, every life lost at the Capitol, is a disappointment. And that's something we were very, that was very tragic for us. And we saw, obviously a lot of that happened. But let me just say this, though. I mean, when it comes to Pelosi and McConnell, that freaking turkey-looking guy, what are you going to do, right? I mean, those are the people that are
throw them in prison. That's what we have to do, is throw them in prison forever.
Oh yeah, I get that. I understand. You know, there's some people that can do that, but I'm trying to run my business, right? And at the end of the day, as the CEO, I got about 200 people that report to me worldwide. Okay, and my job at the end of the day, my number one job as the CEO of the company is to put food on, give those people their payments, make sure they get paid, make sure the business is doing well, all their work doesn't go to waste, so that they can put food on the table for their families. So that's my number one job. And if dealing with Nancy Pelosi and dealing with Mitch McConnell is the way to do that, then that's what I'll have to do for now. But I'll rejoice the day that New York or Kentucky, they get those bastards out of office or whatever happens. I'm down with that. That's fine with me. I'm okay with that. I understand that, and I want that to happen. I'm rooting for it. But at the same time, I got to do what's right for my business, and those are the people that are sitting at Capitol Hill and can make the decisions. So we have to work with them. We don't have a choice, unfortunately.
Well, it sounds like you're working with them to, protect freedom of speech. I mean, not limit it in the way that they want to limit it so much. Is that what you're saying? Because I just can't stand the idea of, people being limited, man. It's getting old, okay? They do everything they can to suppress us. And I just can't be down with that shit anymore.
Well, that's what it is. That's the biggest problem is you have these lobbying groups that really just want to control what you put out there. And our group, we put out games that are not, we're putting out things that are not online. We've gotten banned before. We have people who have tried to cancel us for this. But we're providing a platform, and we want people to be able to put out whatever their mind, whatever they want to bring out there. And unfortunately, there's big groups, lobbying groups, that think that, if there's guns in video games or whatever it may be that they don't like, the solution is, to all their problems is that video games are corrupting the minds of their children or whatever it might be. I can't explain it to you.
I've said this before. Police officers should not be allowed to train on fucking video games. Okay? And police officers should not be allowed to play video games that have guns in them, because then it becomes a toy. So I understand where they're coming from, but I can't stand the limiting of freedom. I don't want a gun. Okay? I do like playing Halo. It's the only game I've ever played that I really like. But, there was the DOA, I like that, the karate, but they don't, it's different. But I understand where they're coming from, but they're not concerned about police officers playing violent video games. They're worried about your kids, right? Which is a load of bullshit. They're not worried about anybody's kids. They have a war on children. Okay, the war on drugs is a war on children. Okay, so they're not saying, oh, we can't have police officers, training on video games like their guns are a toy, or if they shoot that person, it doesn't really matter because it was just a video game, right? And nobody's talking about that, are they? Because we love our police so much.
I understand that point. I get it. I understand. But, what we, on our platform, what we try to do is to, give our artists the freedom to make whatever they want to make. Now, if somebody's got problems and they, shouldn't be playing these games, that's on them. It's not up to us to enforce that. We're not the lawmakers here, and that's what it is. And, the other day, one of my guys showed me VR. I don't know if you've ever played VR. You probably played regular games. You said Halo.
No, I haven't played VR.
It's like, oh my gosh, you put the headset on and it's like you're on a different planet. I played that new Half-Life game, and geez Louise, I thought I was in City 17. I was losing my mind, and it just feels so real. And you touch things, and the thing vibrates when you touch it, and it was a different experience. So I think the way things are going is things are going to be very crazy from here on out.
I'm waiting for the fleshlight attachment. I find that very interesting.
You don't have to wait too long. I think it's coming very soon. Like I said, these controllers already vibrate, Max.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, yeah. I know the girls are getting what they need, but what about us guys? That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Max, let me tell you something. We have a new game coming out, and I'd love to use you as one of the characters. The guys would love it. They'd get a kick out of that. If we could just throw you in the game as one of the characters, It's a new game they've been working on for a little while. Otis Smith Productions. It's a tower defense game, and the enemies that come at you are actually like sort of like internet celebrities and things like that.
Huh, cool.
So if you want to be one of the guys in the game, I let the guys know. You can send a picture or whatever it is. They get a thrill out of it, and it would be obviously a great thing for the game.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. You know, I used to make television, and I went by the name Mike Hunt, and we met this. I met this girl. She was like in Hustler magazine and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, you got to come over, and we'll introduce you to Ron Jeremy. He's good friends with us," and which they did. That was cool. But they had, when I first came over and met him, her boyfriend was like showing me Grand Theft Auto. It was like the original Grand Theft Auto, right? And he introduces it to me by going, watch this, and he's walking down the sidewalk, and there's like a 90-year-old woman carrying groceries, and he pulls a baseball bat out and just beats the hell out of her. And he's like, "Here, you got to try this," trying to hand me the controller. I was like, "I'm not fucking touching that thing." And then, he showed me how you can steal cars, right? And when you steal a car, then you can change the radio station on the car. And he changed it to Head Radio. And on Head Radio, there was a DJ named Michael Hunt. And I was like, finally, immortalized properly in the most violent video game of all time.
Yeah, yeah, it's not, the GTA 1 was violent. Wait till you play 5, okay?
Yeah, no. I'm not going to do that. Thanks very much. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm not thinking that it was violent. It was violent, okay? You're blowing people's arms and legs off and shit. I'm not thinking it was violent. It was violent.
Well, yes. Let me tell you, though, with VR, you're not even going to know when things are going to go. Things are going to get out of control with VR quickly, so we'll see where it goes. We're trying to get into that business, but it's moving fast, and it's to me, I get a headache. I get a headache after half an hour. It's crazy to get on and get the experience, but to get the headache, I don't know. It's not worth it to me yet. But we'll find out, Mark. We'll put you out in that game. I'll send you some images or whatever. I'll email you or something.
Okay, cool.
Email you on that.
You should send.
We'll look out to have you here, Mox, and we appreciate it.
Right on. Thanks very much. I mean, that means a lot to me. You guys should open like a little office in Tokyo or something and start working on that fleshlight thing, because that's going to be huge.
We haven't been to Tokyo yet. Maybe that's probably $1 million idea. We'll cut you in on it if it works out.
It's going to be a lot bigger than that, and you know it is.
It's just who's going to take the time to do it, right? And get all those mouth breathers in there. With the,
I'm sure you can find lots of volunteers to test it.
All right, Max, take it easy. I got to head off. Take care of my kids, put them to bed. All right, you take it easy. Watch for traffic. Don't talk to strangers.
Okay.
See you later, Dave.
Stay cool. Thanks for calling.
Otis out.
Okay, so that's what this show is all about. Was that not hilarious? I'm a very funny guy. If I do say so myself. I crack me up all day long. So, where were we? Oh, I don't know. Was we doing something? You guys, we were talking about the guy with the spider tattoo, right? I think that that's a pretty important video because, again, these are the kind of sources that people are talking about being credible. And to me, that just makes the news source completely uncredible. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So,
Hello.
I just wanted to, shout out and support local law enforcement. Because when you mentioned about them playing video games and maybe they shouldn't do that, etc. Just want to reinforce they do have to go through an in-depth background check and psychiatric evaluation before they're even put out there like that and able to have guns. And
right, but
I'm very
we see them
and thankful for all the work that they do, and they put themselves at risk every single day.
All I'm saying is that they shouldn't train on video games, okay? And they really shouldn't be allowed to play games that have guns in them. Okay, because when you shoot somebody on a video game, it doesn't matter if that person wasn't the right person to shoot. Okay, and we see cops killing kids. I showed last week multiple videos about a kid named Tommy Lee, 17 years old, just about to graduate high school. He got shot in the back twice. Okay, and he was carrying a ballpoint pen, which they originally said was a knife, and they did everything in their power to say it was a knife for months and months and months. And then we find out it was a ballpoint pen. Okay, so not only shouldn't they play with train on video games, they shouldn't be fucking liars.
Okay, but you definitely can trace that back to video games. I mean, because target practice.
I can't.
Target practice, you don't think they should do target practice then?
They should do target practice in the field. Okay? In the field, it feels completely different when you fire a gun. There should be targets that pop up, like a guy with a gun, or a little girl holding a teddy bear, or maybe a kid holding a ballpoint pen. Or maybe they should have the guy turn his back on them and shoot him in the motherfucking back. I don't know why you don't care about this.
I do care, but at the same time, it's very important to stress and to let people be aware that we need to support our law enforcement. They are here to protect us. They risk their lives every day. And if you feel there's a different way that they need to train, then I feel like there's a different way that you can persuade the people.
There's a whole bunch of different ways. They shouldn't work over 32 hours a week. Okay, to start with. All of them are doing overtime, and then they're moonlighting on top of it. Okay, I know how the cops are. And that's just way overworked to start with. A lot of them are suffering from PTSD, okay, where they're already fucking agitated in their brain, and nobody's doing anything about that. Okay,
I agree that they need to be supported. Yes, I see that as well. I'm not going to mention what I do for a living, but I'm very well aware of what goes on. But they do need to be supported.
So do the people that they shoot in the back.
And I don't know all the details of those stories specifically, but we need to support our local law enforcement and all the way to the top. Instead of all these conspiracies that keep going out and around.
I'm not talking about conspiracies. Okay? All summer long, I played a video of a 90-pound girl standing in a street in Seattle, and motherfucking cop shot a flashbang grenade straight into her chest. Her heart stopped immediately. Because why? The cop felt threatened from a 90-year-old girl, a 90-pound girl. I showed a video a couple weeks ago of a 9-year-old girl in handcuffs, and the cops pepper spraying her, a handcuffed 9-year-old girl, in the face. Okay, and there's nothing she can do, and there's 6 fucking cops there. They can't handle a 9-year-old girl. I'm sorry, a handcuffed 9-year-old girl without using chemical weapons on her. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what I'm supposed to support?
I just think there's more to the story than the way it's being told, and we need to support our cops.
You know what? When the cops stop busting people for weed, then maybe we'll be able to support them. But right now, they're ruining people's lives across the country because they have a joint in their pocket. And that's their choice. They don't have to ruin people's lives. They choose to.
Well, unfortunately, I disagree with you, but I appreciate you taking my call, and I hope you have a great evening. Hey,
you call back anytime, okay? Thank you very much for calling.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And this is not conspiracy theories, okay? I show you guys again and again these things. You know, I showed you the 9-year-old girl. Handcuffed 9-year-old girl. 6 cops there. They're pep and spraying her directly in the face, inches away. Why? because they can't handle a handcuffed 9-year-old girl? Or they just got to show her who the fucking boss is? You know, Tommy Lay walking home with a ballpoint pen in his hand, shot in the motherfucking back twice because the cop feared for his life. And we hear this again. Okay, I don't know how fearful you can be when somebody's got their back turned on you. But, you know, again, if every time a cop says, I feared for my life, that cop should be fired immediately because they can't handle the job. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that's what the cops who killed Tamar Rice in the park, 12-year-old boy playing in the park, cops roll up within 2 seconds of the getting out of the car. Less than 2 seconds, Tamar Rice is dead. 12-year-old playing in the park. And I'm sure it was because the cops feared for their life from a 12-year-old playing in the park. 2 seconds till he was murdered by those piece of shit cops. Okay? And that's no conspiracy theory. So we all know. So we're all clear on that. Okay? Fuck the police. Okay? Until the police act like they should be held to a higher standard, because that's the way they act around us, then maybe we'll have some good cops. Then maybe we'll have people that we actually won't fear being in our lives. They'll actually be like, hey, we support the police 100%. They're the good guys. We are not able to say that now. And if you do, you're fucking brainwashed. And you don't care about the people in the street. You know, a 90-pound girl getting a flashbang grenade straight in her chest. You know, Scott Olson in the street in Oakland holding 2 tours in Iraq, holding an American flag and a peace sign. Fucking tear gas canister fucking thunked off his fucking skull. You think that that's an accident? Think that's like a 1 in a million chance shot? No. That guy was an expert. He practiced to do that, and then he did it to a guy who did 2 tours of service in Iraq, to a guy who was standing there, shirt off, holding an American flag and a peace sign. That's the way the fucking cops are. Fuck the motherfucking police. So we're clear. Again, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is who they are. And until they're held to a higher standard, this is who they will always be. And you know it. Hello, caller.
What's up, man? It's Brandon.
Hey, Brandon. Good to hear from you, bro.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I have something to talk about. I have a few points. The first thing you brought up was about the guy's tattoo.
Yeah.
And in the military always had strict tattoo rules.
Right.
But after 9/11, and then the standards dropped.
I know they loosened up the standards. I know they did after. Yeah. I'm not sure when exactly, but I remember that being a thing.
Yeah, and then maybe around my second and third year, before at year 17, before I hit my 20s, the standards came back in place, and they wouldn't letting people get tattoos that might have been a derogatory tattoo, or the tattoo couldn't be seen in certain type of uniform.
Right.
No neck tattoos. But if you came in the military, you could get a waiver if you had like certain type of tattoos, not necessarily like gang-related tattoos.
Sure.
But just because someone has a tattoo, it can be interpreted as a gang. But then they went back to where if every year your commander has all your tattoos would be on file, right, in this database.
Yeah.
So they would call him, hey, Sergeant Medlin, come on in. Take your shirt off, because they know all the tattoos are.
Yeah.
And you can only have like a few tattoos. They just totally stopped it. You can't create no more sleeves. But if you come in with a sleeve, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But those type of jobs, you need a higher, you need a high standard, because someone can dress a certain way and they can feel like they're a badass, or have tattoos, they can feel like they tough or whatever. And when you were talking about like cops playing video games or doing virtual training,
Yeah.
That shit is really just a check the block on all forms of training mocks. Meaning, in the military, I did virtual training. And it's just to check the block because it saves money on ammunition and time, blah, 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 blah. There's nothing like going to the field, having to go to the range, and let's say it's raining that day.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel uncomfortable, you know, or it may be cold outside. You're going to feel uncomfortable.
You're gonna feel the reality of the situation, as opposed to sitting in a comfy space and playing a video game.
Oh yeah, you know, it's just like if you live on a farm and you go out to pick your eggs. It's a little different than you going to the grocery store.
Sure.
To get your eggs.
I don't think that, I mean, it's one thing for the military to do it. I absolutely don't think the cops should be doing it, you know, training on video games.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, the only difference is it's just different scenario situations, but you're shooting at a television screen, which is totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
But to your last
you remember the Dirty Harry stuff where they go out and there was like targets that would pop out from behind fucking buildings. Yeah. I mean that's the stuff that, because it's like you're saying, then you feel the reaction, the reality of the situation. You know, the wind is in your face, the sun is in your eyes, the gun is kicking every time you fire it. You smell the fucking smoke. You feel there's like little shit that hits you every time you shoot the gun. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, just the sound itself.
Right.
Because you know, on a range, you wear hearing protection because you may have 100 people shooting at once.
Yeah.
But when you're in that situation, you don't pull out your hearing protection and stick them in your ear so your ears don't hurt.
Yeah.
Or either if you ever fired a gun out of a vehicle, it's extremely a lot more louder. Your ears are just ringing.
Yeah.
But with that last caller, talking about respecting the cops, if they protect us, first off, you should protect your own motherfucking self at the end of the day. Number one.
That's the only way it's going to actually turn out good.
Exactly. And number two, here in St. Louis, they just did the trial for 3 of the police officers that beat the black police officer that was undercover, and he was a protester, but he was just there to observe, and they just snatched him out. Mike, they beat the guy so bad he had to have spinal fusion on his spine. The medic that showed up, meaning the paramedics, could literally stick his pinky through the guy's lip. And guess what? The 3 that was on trial today, well, first off, it was an all-white jury until one juror said that they couldn't do it anymore because of a family emergency. They put the alternate on there, which was one black juror, and one cop was found not guilty, and the 2 other cops was a hung jury. So,
wow.
If you want, exactly. And because it was a federal case, they didn't pull the jury people from St. Louis County, because St. Louis is, it's very mixed.
Yeah.
So they pretty much pulled them from like other parts of eastern Missouri that, pretty much all white.
That's totally bullshit.
So, but then again, that's the fucking problem. So we can sit here and try to hold a police officer doing their job. But when they fuck up, Mike, they fuck up just like they shot that guy in the back with a ballpoint pen. The Tamir Rice shit was probably the most disturbing shit. This George Floyd shit's disturbing. But until
are you watching the trial?
But to be honest, I don't want to watch it because I know what the whole argument is.
Yeah.
And the whole argument is But let me get back to what I'm going to say about that last caller. Until we demand a higher standard of police officers, meaning we recruit the best of the best, you can't be a dud and go to special operations.
Yeah.
That's just the best of the best.
Right.
And I get it. Some people just need a job, and they fit the qualification. They was a linebacker in high school, or they played college football, or whatever. Whatever, right? But obviously, we're not picking the best of the best in American society. We're not training them enough, and then whenever they do have a mishap, the taxpayers pay for it.
Yeah.
The taxpayers pay for it.
Right.
So there goes your school system, or fixing the roads or the bridges in your community. So, and also, when you talk about people do a psych evaluation, there are psychopaths on the police force.
For sure.
That just know they got a license to kill, and they get away with it. Or either they're just an asshole, and I don't want to fucking hear that where they're so stressed out. If it's too goddamn hot, get the fuck out the kitchen.
This is what I'm saying, is that if a cop says, I feared for my life, that cop should be immediately fired. You cannot handle the job.
Exactly. Yes. And especially when it's a situation to where they don't de-escalate, or anything like that. Because it's funny, no one hates a firefighter. And why is that?
Because they actually come there to help.
Exactly. But if you show up and there's someone who has a mental disorder, and instead of trying to de-escalate or whatever, you just shoot them, so be it. But again, until the judicial system gets up, or until the taxpayers are tired of fucking paying for it, then don't bitch about the city or the country being fucking broke.
Well, I have a story, Brandon, about New Mexico just voted to no longer allow police to have qualified immunity. So they can now be sued if they shoot somebody. They can be directly sued.
Yeah, but let's be honest. It's not like they have a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, but it's still gonna hurt.
You know what I mean?
And it's gonna drag it out, and it's gonna drag it out in court a lot more visually than showing somebody getting a settlement, and then they make a statement, and then pretty much it's a done deal. You drag it out in court for a few weeks, and and you make all the cops look bad. That's why they do this shit.
But if you start holding those, see, this is a problem, Mike. Is that no one wants to hold that individual accountable. They look at it like an attack on a police officer is an attack on the entire police community. No, it's not. It's an attack on what that officer did. He needs to be held accountable. Period.
And they should agree with that. The police should want the people to support them in the way that last caller is saying. We got to support the police. Well, you know what? I've said again and again and again, I wish we had police that we could look at like the heroes that they want us to look at them like, Because I would love to be able to look at the police that way. I'd love to be able to look at the politicians that way, but we don't have anything like that. And again, you take individuals as they are, and individual cops can be really decent human beings. And when you get them in a group, they become very, very dangerous, and there's no way they're still decent human beings.
Well, that's because they have the us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
And that's not, you can't have that mentality. But again, maybe one day, God forbid, that last caller, they have a situation to where a cop is being difficult to them.
Or their son.
But everyone needs, but it's not, again, it's not the police. It's that one. It's that officer so and so, whatever his or her name is. It's that person who made a mistake, or either they overreacted. Hold that individual accountable.
Absolutely.
You know, whether
otherwise you make the entire police force look corrupt and bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, something else I want to ask you. Did you watch, I guess, the little documentary the other night or last night about all the doctors that work at the CDC about how they handled the COVID shit, and now they want to speak out about it?
I did not watch the documentary. I saw something about Fauci trying to take credit for everything, and I have a clip here about the former director of the CDC saying that COVID-19 was caused by an accident at the Wuhan lab.
Yeah. And I liked how he said that he's entitled to his opinion whenever he said that. But my problem with all of them is they all knew that the federal government was lying. But guess what? None of them quit. None of them stood up and said anything about it. So they're just as wrong as everyone who got us in that big row to weapons of mass destruction. Because they got theirs. They're going to write a fucking book. They're going to go work in the private sector.
Right.
You know, so again, it goes, that's why I love the military so much. Because I was in the military, it's the hard right over the easy wrong. And on video games, I didn't see no fucking kids doing nothing crazy when I grew up in the 80s playing Double Dragon or you know, and shit like that, you know, doing crazy shit in video games. So,
you really can't blame the video games on the kids, whatever happens there with the shooting, because everybody's playing those games, and if everybody's playing those games, everywhere, it'd be like everybody be killing each other, whether they have guns or not. They get hatchets and fucking hammers and stuff. So it's not the video game. Oh, I'm sorry, assault hatchets and assault hammers.
Yeah, but on a sad note, them two girls in D.C. that stole that Uber Eats guy's car and he wound up dying. I don't know if you got that video to play.
No, but I don't have that.
Well, there was a bystander that recorded it all as it went down live. He was trying to stop the girls from doing what they was doing.
Yeah, I think I saw a little piece of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, them two bitches they should have watched Grand Theft Auto before they tried to carjack somebody, because they fucked that all up. You know what I'm saying?
They looked like a couple of drunk people that were just, you know, bitch slapping. It didn't look like, you know, how did the guy die?
No, well, it was a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old little girl.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. So
I must be thinking of something else.
Well, these two, this 13-year-old girl and this 15-year-old girl, they had a taser and they was trying to carjack this guy, and I guess he was doing a delivery, dropping food off or whatever, and as he was trying to get in his car, they bomb rushed him, and they had like a taser, and that's when the person started recording on his phone.
Yeah.
And he was beating on the car like, hey, y'all stop. And anyway, one girl was in the passenger seat, and one girl was in the driver's seat, and the guy was like trying to pull him out, and they took the fuck off, man. And they drug him down the road.
Wow.
And at the end of the street, they hit a parked car, flipped over, and killed him.
Wow.
So now their whole life is fucking ruined for fucking what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think that happens a lot, and I think that has a lot to do with the education system. You know, like they're not teaching people.
That and parenting.
They're not, but parenting. Somebody has to teach these people how to, you know, get through. Look at getting through life is very tricky. And you need guidance if you're going to be successful at all. And I think a lot of people just aren't getting the guidance that they need.
Yeah, man, you're right, and you know, and I have a big family, and it's not easy, but
Well, again, it would help. It would help a lot if the school system was just a little bit more about how to be human, and again, how to make it through, this world in one piece, as opposed to how to be a clog and fit into the machine.
But also, when you have decades of just those type of communities being shit on, then it's going to, the trickle down effect is what's going to happen. So therefore, now you have just a bunch of shitty, disgruntled Americans who don't give a shit.
I think there's a lot of people who don't give a shit because they feel like nobody gives a shit about them. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, man. Well, all right, Mox, that's all I want to say, brother. I'm enjoying your show, man.
Hey, it's always good to hear from you, Brandon. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
And congratulations on that Bitcoin, boss. That's nice.
Oh, yeah, it's $25. It's nice of that person. It's like, I usually don't get anything on the weekends, so it kind of came out of nowhere, and I was like, hey, yay.
Yeah, somebody was saying about you. Well, that's good, Mox.
Yeah.
You take care.
All right. Good to hear from you, Brandon. That's our buddy, 2 Bronze Star Brandon. And you don't get a name like that by accident, so you know. Let's see. I'm going to play a video for you about the qualified immunity in New Mexico being ended. Police no longer have qualified immunity, or at least the lawmakers have voted to take qualified immunity away from police in New Mexico. And I thought that was very important for you guys to see. So I'm going to play it for you now. Go heat up my tea. Be right back.
Brian, thank you. In other news tonight, New York City has now become the first in the U.S. to end what's called qualified immunity, a legal doctrine that shields government officials, including law enforcement, from being held personally liable for actions that violate someone's constitutional rights. Similar legislation in New Mexico has now made its way to the governor's desk there, and News Nation's Michael Shore is joining us live with more on this story. Michael.
Rob, good evening to you from Los Angeles, California, a state that is also trying to do some legislation when it comes to qualified immunity and police reform. Look, when you heard O'Brien Enton's report about George Floyd, you also probably hearkened back to when there were protests after the riots and the protests in Minneapolis after the murder of Floyd. But what you're also seeing now are the fruits of those protests, right? Defunding the police was part of the vernacular of last year's election. Now we've moved into actual action, not defunding, but changing some of the police rules. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed the House. To be honest, it probably won't make it through the Senate. So states are taking the lead on this, and the one that's taking the lead since the George Floyd events in Minneapolis, the first one is New Mexico. It's called the New Mexico Civil Rights Act. Its centerpiece is the ending of qualified immunity in that state, and it has passed both houses of the state legislature.
We saw the murder of George Floyd. We saw the nation gripped with Black Lives Matter protests.
Democrat Brian Egolf is Speaker of the New Mexico House of Representatives and chief sponsor of this legislation.
Ending qualified immunity is one of the most important things that we can do if you want to give everyday Americans meaningful access to justice when their rights are violated.
Qualified immunity is a legal tenet that protects public officials from lawsuits that may allege a violation of a plaintiff's civil rights.
That states actually need to start taking responsibility, taking steps towards ensuring that their own citizens have access to justice, because the federal courts have essentially foreclosed that possibility in so many instances, precisely because of the qualified immunity doctrine.
Peter Simonson is executive director of the New Mexico chapter of the ACLU, who helped author the bill.
The bill that just passed and that is now before the governor would give everyday people, everyday New Mexicans, the opportunity to go into a New Mexico court to argue for rights under a New Mexico Constitution, to be heard by a judge who is elected by New Mexicans.
But like so much legislation on this sensitive issue, the feelings were anything but unanimous.
This particular legislation, which is billed as civil rights protection, I don't think really does what it's supposed to do.
Republican State Senator William Scherer voted against the bill, saying it's about national politics.
Can you do it in a small state, figure out what the problems are and then launch it off into a bigger state. I think that's what's going on.
Scherer also relying on a familiar refrain among dissenters here that New Mexicans are not making this change happen.
Most of their funding, most of their everything has come from out of state. So these are Californians or New Yorkers that are deciding New Mexico politics.
Speaker Brian Egoff pushes back, saying that the bill is uniquely New Mexican.
We created the New Mexico Civil Rights Commission, and we brought together retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, former federal prosecutors, state district judges, legal experts from across the spectrum.
While the lawmakers who crafted this bill here in the capital of Santa Fe say that it focuses on the entire public sector, the public does know, too, that this is a bill about policing, and it's a bill about policing statewide.
I see it as an attack on not just any public employee, but especially attacks on police.
Albuquerque police officer Toby Gallegos is president of the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 1 in New Mexico's largest city.
We have a New Mexico Torts Claim Act. So when we are perceived to have violated someone's rights or broken a rule or law, they have the right to redress this in court.
Peter Simonson and the ACLU argue that Gallegos is correct, but that something stands in the way.
You can do that now in the federal courts, but again, you have to contend with this very stringent hurdle called qualified immunity.
Officer Gallegos says that legislation like this can get into the minds of police officers.
It slows our reaction down because people are less likely to get involved in those scary decisions where they have to defend someone's life, including their own.
Getting into the minds of public workers like the police may have been the intent. I asked Peter Simonson how the George Floyd case would be different had it happened in New Mexico.
But it would, in fact, give the family, for example, of George Floyd the ability to go into court, into a New Mexico state court, and seek some sort of vindication for those rights.
Speaker Egoff says he feels that this is a supremely important moment for his state.
I hope will be the legacy of this bill, is that the rights for all New Mexicans will be not just protected, but will be clarified, expanded, and will be made real for everyone in this state.
Speaker Egoff told us that it's really important that it starts in New Mexico. They don't have the problems that other states have had with police, but they wanted to take the lead on this, and certainly they have. It awaits the signature of Michelle Lujan Grisham. Also, you can look at a state like Illinois. Just last week, their House has passed this legislation. So this is going to be contagious. New Mexico just wanted to take the lead on this. Incidentally, those awards are capped at $2 million. That was part of the compromise that the Democrats and Republicans made before they sent this to Governor Lujan Grisham. In Los Angeles for News Nation, I'm Michael Schur.
Okay, I'm gonna play the Wuhan lab for you guys next, or the CDC director, former director, saying that the Wuhan lab accident caused a COVID-19 outbreak. But that's a minute away. I wanted to show you guys that video because, again, I think this is a really important story. And this is the outcome of the police brutality that I keep highlighting across the country. It's like an epidemic, right? No, where are the people that describe the police brutality in this country as an epidemic? Right? They want, oh, we have this epidemic and that epidemic, but never do they talk about the police violence epidemic, right? And why? Because we love our cops so much. I mean, that must be the reason. You know, people like Don Lemon don't want people with no guns. They want people with guns around them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But they don't want you to have guns. They don't want you to be able to protect yourself in the same manner. So remember that when they're talking about, you know, oh, we have to end this epidemic of gun violence. What about the violence in the police community? You know, and that's what I think that's partially what this law, this ending qualified immunity, I'm pretty sure that's part of. I mean, they're saying that that's a result from the epidemic of police violence, but I think that's partially the steps forward that we need to make in order to end the epidemic of police violence. I think that's the only way it does end. And of course, all we really have to do is legalize all drugs, and then it will end the war on our children, our families. If we end the drug war, that will make like 80% of crime go away. If we make 80% of crime go away, then it's easy to cut the police force by 50%. It's very, very easy. It'd be easy to weed out a lot of cops. See, if the police force gets cut by 50%, then they'll still have the same amount of eyes on them that are watching them, that are like, don't step out of line because there's somebody waiting for your job. They'll still have the same amount of eyes on them, so it'll be highlighted more. And it would be, so they're much, much less likely to step out of line, to act like they don't have anything to worry about. And it would be much, much easier to keep them to a higher standard, and with 80% of crime gone, right? 80% of crime gone, and then we see as cops shooting people in the street, we'd be like, hey, I'm concerned about this. They just shot a 12-year-old boy less than 2 seconds after they got out of the car. It would be, since there'd be 80% less crime, that would be a big story on the news, right? It'd be like the #1 story again and again. 17-year-old holding a ballpoint pen gets shot twice in the back by local police. That's a nationwide story. You haven't seen that Tommy Lee story anywhere else. And why? Because the cops aren't held to a higher standard. Because we love our police so much. And the cops need our support. Hello, caller.
Hey, Matt, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I'm using a set of headphones. Well, I mean, you heard about the vaccine passport, Mark. Everything's going to be so controlled now. The slippery slope is here. Now they're trying to put a mandate on masks. What else we can do?
I think, no, look. The mandate on mask is going away, okay? I'm telling you, in Texas, in Florida, they don't have this. And from what I understand, in Texas, the COVID rate of people getting sick, people being found having COVID, is way, way, way down.
I see. But again, I don't like the slippery slope, Mox. You were right. This is tyranny. This is making me even more right-wing than I already was. And I was already right-wing. I think it's going to make me a libertarian, though. Because I mean, first of all, I understand why they're doing it, though. I just don't agree with the tactics that they're using for that.
You mean the control, the medical dictatorship?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't like it, Max. And quite frankly, though, I mean, at least we're not in Canada, though, where things are more strict over there. I mean, I hear stories of people if you get into Canada, you have to be quarantined in a hotel.
Yeah.
That you have to pay, by the way, including the food.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks. And then you hear stories of, like, rapes going on those hotels, or those quote-unquote quarantine centers.
Huh.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't like it much. I really don't like it. I'm starting to... And quite frankly, I think people who voted for Biden are a bunch of idiots. And they're starting to realize that. They hated Trump so much that they're willing to vote for the other guy so they can get rid of Trump.
Yeah.
And then they don't realize how their policies are screw everyone up.
I can't believe that 80 million people voted for Joe Biden. I just can't believe that. I mean, the guy couldn't fill a high school auditorium,
I know.
Yeah.
You saw. I remember seeing the campaigns, though. Not even 4 or 5 people. It was like really, really sad.
Yeah, I agree.
Goes to actual stadiums though, and like the guy, and there was people literally camping for hours or like days just to go to a Trump rally though.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a Marco Rubio and a Ted Cruz rally back in Boise like a few years ago when they were running for as hopefuls, and they pretty much filled it out though. Even Bernie Sanders filled out the Boise State Stadium over there. Bernie Sanders, and this guy couldn't even get 5 people and he won the presidency. No, dude, that's fraud right there, dude. That's fraud. I swear to God.
Bernie Sanders has a lot of support. But yeah, I just think Joe Biden was a horrible candidate. He picked a horrible vice president. And like I said, I don't see the support. I mean, generally in an election, especially one where it's really divided and, we got to make sure that we get our point, you see like yard signs everywhere. Vote for Biden, Biden-Harris, blah, blah, blah. I walk every day, miles and miles and miles, and I saw almost no yard signs at all. Like, very, very tiny amount from what I'm used to. So it's really, again, it's just really hard to believe that anybody supported, Biden.
It's because people didn't vote for Biden, though. The whole election was an election against Trump, not for Biden.
Yeah.
People do not vote for Trump. The whole thing was like a referendum against Trump.
Yeah.
And I understand that the guy, he was an asshole. He has this big mouth. But at least he get things done. And he knows he was doing, though.
Yeah,
I guess the main concern was the personality of the guy rather than the actions of the guy.
You know what? Look, I know America can do better, okay? And that's kind of the point is, we have this joke fucking election between, the Donald Trump and a billionaire, and Joe Biden, who nobody likes. And it's a joke. I mean, why can't we come up with better candidates than this? Somebody who's actually a real man of the people. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have Bernie. And I don't even I like Bernie personally as a person. I just completely disagree with his policies, though. But he was really the best thing that the Democrats had at the time. I'm serious. Like, I feel like if Bernie would have run, he would be president now.
Yeah, Bernie, again, he got ripped off in the primaries just like he did against Hillary Clinton. And, again, Hillary Clinton was just as bad a candidate as Joe Biden, almost exactly the same, and they forced Hillary Clinton down our throats, and I believe that's why Donald Trump was elected in the first place. Was at first they cheated Bernie Sanders out of the primary, and then they're acting like Hillary, before anybody's voted, they're acting like Hillary Clinton's already the next president. So. I think that's a big part of why people voted for Donald Trump because don't tell me what to do. Go ahead.
I remember seeing like 5 years ago, dude, and that was kind of hilarious. I was in Boise when the whole Trump won, though, and like I can see people like literally with their watery eyes, and they're like blindfolded, like if their favorite team lost their Super Bowl type of thing, though. And I was just laughing so hard. And then apparently there's pictures of like Time magazine with a pre-printed Madame President on 2016.
Right.
And suddenly Trump won. And I was like, what the hell? Like, they're really running so hard for her to win. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's exactly what I'm saying.
It was hilarious, though. But I mean,
and Manny, I have a video that's very popular on this YouTube page about and it shows Hillary Clinton supporters crying as they're walking out of like an event, right? They're just like, ah! And people love that video, so you know.
Yes, but the following day after the election, when I was walking back to my class at Boise, at school, I saw the guys, like, they had, like, the walk of shame. You know that stereotype where, like, after you had sex, like people just walk out of the place in regret. I felt like a lot of people were like that, though. And you don't even want to talk to these people. And I just went to class and like I was just looking at everyone. So I was just laughing at the whole thing because back then I wasn't a citizen.
Yeah.
I wasn't a citizen, so I couldn't vote for that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm a citizen, I voted for Trump, and now the guy lost. And I was actually angry, dude. Because you're right, like nobody liked this guy. He only had like 5 people watch him have like the entire stadiums in the middle of the COVID pandemic, dude. He had like a lot of people filling out their places, dude.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know, dude. And there's this whole thing in Georgia, with what's going on in Georgia right now with the election front. I'm just blindfolded that these people are gaslighting you, telling you that this is a threat to democracy. They're closing the loophole that allow people to cheat so Biden can win in Georgia. Because they know how they didn't check signatures, they didn't check IDs. They were forcing people to vote by mail when they shouldn't vote by person. I mean, it feels... I'm tired, man. I'm tired of this constant lying, the constant gaslighting.
It takes it out of you, Manny. I'm tired of it too.
And the saddest part is, I expected this from the Republicans, but it's the Democrats doing this kind of crap. It's the liberals, it's the lefties.
It's both sides. Both sides.
They should be the good guys.
That's the thing. I don't know.
They're supposed to be good guys.
They're supposed to be. They're supposed to be the bleeding hearts that care about the downtrodden. Okay, and the Republicans are supposed to be the people who care about the rich. But that's just this thing where it's this division, where it's this theater, and they're talking to different suckers. The suckers over here, like hearing, oh, we're gonna help lift up the people, and the suckers over here, like hearing, oh, we're gonna trickle down, or piss all over you.
Dude, speaking of ironies, a few months ago, I listened to an interview that they make to Ted Cruz on YouTube, and one of those. Right-wing news networks thing that you see on YouTube. And apparently Ted Cruz was saying that the Republican Party is now going to be like a right-wing libertarian for the working class.
Yeah.
Working class. I was like, what the hell just happened? Did the Matrix broke over? Did the world flip? That was supposed to be the Democrats, because the Democrats are not for the elite. They're for the white
They're all for the elite.
Middle class and rich people. This whole critical race theory, where they kept calling like the Latin X and the black minorities, do you know who actually consume all that crap? It's not black people. It's not Latinos. It's not minorities. It's freaking white people consuming that crap. I swear to God.
It's everyone. It's everyone, Manny. Okay, I mean, again, it's just these people are looking. It's like I keep saying, I wish I could look at the politicians, the police, like they're the heroes that they like to believe they are. But, and people, it's not just me that wishes that. Even more so, there's people out there so desperate to believe and want someone good that they go, oh, there's one that's a good one. But there isn't any good ones. I mean, I want to believe it, but, there's just nobody there that's really looking out for the people, is my opinion.
I know. The world just flipped upside down, though, and no wonder why Sarah Silverman was so upset. Do you saw the videos of the comedian Sarah Silverman, how disappointed she was from the progressives?
Who, what now?
No wonder why Sarah Silverman, the comedian, was so upset about progressives.
Yeah, I remember that. She got pissed at the convention and told everybody just to shut up and vote for Hillary.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I unfortunately, we cannot show the middle finger anymore until like 4 years from now, and God knows what's going to happen in 4 years. I don't know, man.
Same shit. I mean, different day.
I'm probably gonna vote a straight ticket Republican though in the next local elections and the midterms. But I don't think a lot of things is gonna get done though, and I truly feel and. I take no offense, and I don't want to get banned by YouTube or by my channel, dude, but I feel like Biden is going to last, and I'm talking about physically at last. He's probably gonna pass away or something before he finishes his first term. and then we're going to have Madame Presley Kamala.
Yeah.
She didn't even have a single freaking Democrat delegate, not even a super delegate.
Yeah, no, she
Not
couldn't.
again.
She couldn't get 1% of the African American vote while she was running during the primary, from what I understand.
I don't know, man. It seems so sad. I wanted 4 more years of Trump. I really wanted that guy to be 4 more years. Even though the guy is a complete asshole, he has a crappy personality, at least he was taking care of things. So.
I don't, I wish that I could say, again, I wish that I could say, this guy is one of the good ones, but I just don't get that. So I really wish I could. It just, I don't see that happening. Hey, Manny, it's good to hear from you. I got to take a break, okay?
All right, man, take it easy, man.
Okay, talk to you soon, I hope. Okay, so let's see. I was talking there about the CDC director, former CDC director, saying that the COVID-19 was released from an accident in Wuhan, in the lab in Wuhan, China. So I'm sure you guys are as fed up with the COVID-19 news as I am, but everybody else seems to be super hypersensitive to the fact that this guy did say that the COVID-19 was released, caused by an accident at the Wuhan lab. Former CDC director. People are calling for his resignation. I believe he's working for the Biden administration now. I find it all very interesting.
Developing now, the Canadian government is suspending the use of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine for people under the age of 55. Canada's National Advisory Committee on Immunization recommended the pause over concerns the shot may be linked to blood clots. The AstraZeneca vaccine is used widely in Europe, but its rollout was troubled by inconsistent studies about its effectiveness. It is not approved here in the United States. New details today about the long-awaited report by the World Health Organization on the origins of COVID-19. As Sinclair National Correspondent James Rosen reports, the strict supervision of the Chinese government is creating doubts about the research.
When investigators from the World Health Organization arrived in Wuhan January 14th to probe the origins of the coronavirus outbreak in the central Chinese city more than a year earlier, the team was kept in quarantine for 2 weeks, then partnered up with 17 Chinese teammates with the work of this so-called joint study group laid out and limited by the government in Beijing. When the joint study team presented its preliminary findings on February 9, the lead Chinese delegate portrayed the inspections as robust.
The international team received detailed presentations and undertook a series of site visits and interviews with key informants.
In fact, the Chinese government monitored the team at all times, and the team appeared to adopt the government's view that the virus originated not in a laboratory, but from animal infections in Wuhan's so-called wet markets.
It's basically a very simple illustration of different pathways coming from wild animals into different environments where human and animals and products can interact.
On Sunday, a 60-minute segment cast doubt on the integrity of the WHO China study. One member of the joint team from the WHO described the team's interactions with personnel at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the very lab where researchers have long studied bats and viruses structurally similar to COVID-19.
We said, do you audit the lab? And they said, annually. Did you audit it after the outbreak? Yes. Was anything found? No. Do you test your staff? Yes. No. But
you're just taking their word for it.
Well, what else can we do? There's a limit to what you can do.
On CNN this weekend, former CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield said he believed a lab accident in Wuhan produced the outbreak. For that, Democratic lawmakers in Maryland demanded Redfield, who became an advisor to Maryland Governor Larry Hogan this month, resign that position. Hogan's office said the governor disagrees, but won't ask Redfield to step down. Outside the nation's capital, James Rosen.
I'm back. And I don't know, I thought you guys would find that interesting, because, and everybody's upset. Everybody's upset about him saying this because it came from a wooded area with, what's it called? Langowin. Langowin? Is that what it is? I don't know if you guys saw the South Park episode, but The Langoin was pretty funny. I'm just saying, according to the former CDC director, as stated in that video, the COVID-19 was released from the Wuhan lab caused by an accident. So, again, this is a call-in show. If anybody wants to call, the number is 805-669-6397. I have a video here about wealth through cannabis. Generational wealth through cannabis. Building generational wealth through cannabis. Which I think is a wonderful, beautiful thing. Or at least a wonderful, beautiful idea. Oh, and I have a really funny video on gun control. And I'm certain that you will enjoy it very much. So, other than that, again, it's a call-in show. We're waiting for a call. If we don't get one here momentarily, I'm going to go ahead and play more videos because that's what I do. I come out here, I play topical stories, and try to start a conversation about it. But the conversation needs to be, I can only hold up one end of the conversation. So, and I tend to have an overly opinionated view. So, it's good to have the other view, like the lady who's saying that we need to support our police. It's good to have that other view. And I didn't mean to be rude to her. I just... this is one of my things. Shooting kids in the back, pepper spraying little girls. And I can't support those people. If that's how they're going to be, if that's how they choose to be. Again, they ruin people's lives because they have a joint in their pocket. Because they have a joint in their pocket, they ruin people's lives. They don't have to. They can go, okay, this is your one and only warning, son. I don't want to see you with no weed. If I catch you with weed again, I'm going to take you to jail. You understand? They have the option to do that, and they choose not to. So, again, this is the cops that we have. I can't support those people making a choice to ruin someone's life because they can. So I can't support those people. How could, I get it. I mean, it's like I'm saying, we want to have cops that we can look at like they're genuinely heroes. Like the way that they look at themselves, right? I want to have cops like that. And again, I think that we would have a lot more cops like that if we just ended the drug war and then cut the police fine budget by 50%, which would be so easy to do. If we ended the drug war, 80% of crime would end. Even if it wasn't 80%, if it was 70, 75%, 65%, it would be so easy to cut the police budget by 50%. And by doing that, we would cut the police force. There's 80% less crime. So we cut the police force in half. Or we stop spending all this budget on fucking weapons that they don't need. Because they're not at war anymore. They don't have this war on the people, war on your children, drug war profiteers. That's who keeps this drug war going. It's who the police are, by the way. It's who the politicians are, by the way. So it's wrong. And we deserve better. We could do so much better. But we don't get the opportunity because we have to think of the children. Why won't anyone think of the children? Right? Meanwhile, they have a war on your children going on daily where they ruin people's lives because one of your children's lives because they just happen to have a joint in their pocket. And, you can't walk around with flowers, son. I'm going to ruin your life forever because you got flowers. How sick is that? Especially on something that's such a horribly, horribly failed drug war, right? Okay, so we have the wealth through cannabis, generational wealth built through cannabis, which I love that story. And I only have a couple of videos left, so I'm going to play one of them because I'm going to heat the bong up and have a puff. So after that, we'll only have like 2 videos left. So if you want to call, now's the time to do it. I'm going to heat the bong up and I'm going to play. I don't know. I really want to play this video about. I'm going to play this gun control video because I think you guys will really like it. I think it's very funny. So, gun control video coming up.
Not only that, girl, Biden is also calling on the Senate to pass gun control laws. Okay, so you know what happened in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
So they blame that on race. So now white people are going after the Asian people, which is so untrue, you all. That is a lie. That's a narrative, okay? And then, you know, something happened in Boulder, Colorado. Now they said, oh, that's about guns. That's about guns. So now they want to blame law-abiding citizens for the gun violence. And my thing is, when I see liberals, you always want to place blame. Are the liberals afraid that if they get a gun, they're going to take and start shooting up folks? I mean, what's the problem here? Because when you allow people to chip away at our gun laws,
that's right.
Pretty soon we won't have a gun law.
Yeah, speaking of gun laws, our Second Amendment says our right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That means violated, shouldn't be eroded, weakened, breached, or undermined. With them putting these rules and these gun laws into place, how is a criminal, or when is a criminal going to follow the law? Tell me, when have a criminal followed the law before he committed a crime or she committed a crime with a gun?
Right.
Gun control people that follows the law, law-abiding citizens.
Right.
That's what gun control controls. Gun control do not control these criminals that breaks the law.
Right.
Why? Because criminals don't follow the law.
Right.
And if criminals follow the law, there will be no crimes.
There will be no crimes. Well, did you know, this is Insider said, according to the data from Gun Violence Archive, more than 9,539 people have already died this year from gun-related violence.
Wow.
Also, there has been 103 mass shootings in the U.S. so far, 2021. So this is up under Biden's regime. I want to know, why are all of these mass shootings happening? Yeah, why? And why do you all make stuff about race and then you turn around and make stuff about gun control?
Yeah.
Also, Politico obtained copies of firearm transaction records and receipts from Hunter Biden stuff. It was dated back October the 12th, 2018.
Yeah.
On his application, Hunter responded no to a question on the transaction records that asks, are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, controlled substance? He answered no to that. So my theory is, instead of Biden wanting to come after the American people, how about you check your own house first? Check your own children and see what they line about on their application. Stop coming after the American people, want to take away our freedom. It's bad enough they're taking away our freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Now you want to take away our freedom to bear arms. Because you know where this is going.
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing. The very people that's talking about gun control and gun laws, they're protected with their security who own and have guns.
They don't care about, but we the American people.
And let's look right there. I don't mean to stop you, but look right there in Chicago.
Come on.
Chicago has the strictest gun laws, but more people are killed in Chicago by guns. Okay?
Well, my thing is here. Let me say it like this here, Silk. It's the reason why they don't care about the people in Chicago, because those are poor black and brown people killing each other. So you just look the other way like that's okay. But then when somebody in the Asian community get killed by a white man, it's a problem. Or when a white man kill a black person, it's a problem. Or in what happened in Boulder, Colorado, I think that was a Muslim or somebody from Syria.
So when you say it like that, what about black on black hate? Is there a black on black hate crimes going on?
There's a lot of that going on, but ain't nobody saying nothing about that. We're going to continue this conversation.
That's right.
I thought you guys would like those girls. Enjoy those ladies' thoughts on gun control. I think they're very funny. They remind me of me a little bit because I think I look into the camera kind of the way they do sometimes. So anyways, I hope you like their stuff. It's on the Newsmax if anybody's looking for it. I think it's on Saturday nights or something. I was just like, what the hell is this? Oh, I gotta get that. Craig is making ribs, barbecued ribs. Oh my God, it smells so good. He's baking them in the oven first, and then he puts them on the grill and puts barbecues on them. Driving me crazy. That's the reason Rufus isn't up here tonight. He's sitting down next to the oven, going, "I get some, right?" Of course you do. You love ribbies, buddy. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video, like I said. Okay, well, through cannabis, social media addiction. Oh, we just got the silk gun control one. I am just about out of here. So if you want to call, now's the time to do it. Because I only have 2 videos left. Well, I have 3 videos left. And of course, I love playing the white privilege card. I love playing the white privilege card.
Trump won the election. Among the suspects' possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free. With 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer saying this to CNN. This was a guy simply...
That guy. Okay, so I just really love playing that white privilege card. You guys know I do. So that I'm going to keep playing it for a while. I don't know how long, but I hope you're not getting tired of it yet. Okay, so let's do this one. Social media. I saved the building wealth through cannabis, building generational wealth through cannabis. I'll save that video for last. We will do social media addictions, and then hopefully we'll have a phone caller. Otherwise, I only have the 1 video left.
Developing now, big tech companies continue facing pressure to reduce child exploitation and abuse on their platforms. Right now, virtual learning has increased the amount of time kids spend on their computers, creating a much bigger risk to digital sexual predators. National correspondent Angela Brown shows us what's being done to keep kids safe.
Big tech has a legal and ethical responsibility to make their platforms safer for children, but it's also good for their bottom line. Predators sliding into a child's DM. Parents like Dr. Tracy Burkett knew the dangers when she allowed her girls at 13 to join Instagram.
That just seemed like a good point, kind of a milestone, the teen years, and it seemed like a good kind of a rite of passage. And it made me nervous, still does. Omnicore, a digital marketing agency, found 57 million U.S. teens say Instagram is their preferred social media platform, while 72% of teens use Instagram. This month, Instagram announced a new feature preventing adults from sending messages to people
under 18 who do not follow them. Cybersecurity expert Lisa Garber says these companies have an ethical responsibility to protect minors.
While there might not necessarily be a federal law or even a state law about the practice of DMing or communicating on these platforms between minors and adults, these companies do recognize an obligation, and they also recognize, I'm sure, the PR issues surrounding it as well.
Facebook owns Instagram. Last month, Facebook announced they are testing 2 new tools to reduce sharing of child exploitative content. The first is a pop-up shown to people on their apps who search for terms associated with child exploitation, offering ways to get help or the consequences of viewing that content. The second is really a safety alert, warning people who have shared child exploitative content about the legal consequences and the harm to minors. Experts say big tech needs to act before regulators.
They need to interact positively with regulators to not just get on their good side, but help shape the evolution of regulation in this space.
But this mom of 2 teens says technology can only do so much.
They'd had, people try to follow them. So I asked, well, what's your strategy there to decide whether to allow that? And they were smart. They said, well, I checked to see if they know my friends and, how many friends, and doing kind of a nice job of vetting.
There are existing laws protecting minors online, including the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act that prohibits companies from collecting the data of children under 13 without their parents' consent. In Washington, I'm Angela Brown.
All righty, I got that one done. All right, you guys, we are down to, wealth through cannabis. Wealth through cannabis, baby. And I know you guys want to see that. I think it's a good video because you don't see people talking about this a whole lot. That, that we could be helping people to make a lot of money in this new wide open industry. But instead of that, it's these people who already have plenty of money are getting into the industry and making, a river of money. So I'd like to see more help with the common man, again, making their dreams come true, getting a little piece of the American dream with this wide open brand new industry. I think that would be such a good thing for everyone, all communities. So it'd be so easy to help the little guy up and say, well, we'd like to help you start, whatever business. Like I said, if from the beginning, if in school we were trained that we're the tippy top of the food chain, the upright walking, opposable thumbs, we can do anything we can imagine, top of the food chain. And we're not taught that. And then if we had the support to come up with these ideas that were like, the direction of humanity changing, those kind of ideas. If we come up with those, how many people have ideas like that we never get to hear about? And why? Because they're not told that they can make anything happen they can imagine. And they're not given the support to move that idea along and make a great new idea into a reality. Wouldn't that be a completely different world to live in? Again, if we end the stupid drug war, the completely failed stupid drug war, we end 80% of crime. We have massive amounts of revenue. We end the other stupid wars, and not buy into this 9/11 bullshit. These guys, that never flew a jumbo jet liner, flew these amazing fucking, to just the right spot, these amazing fucking planes into just the giant planes into just the right spot to get just the right fucking shot that they're looking for, except for out of the Pentagon. We haven't got to see that video yet. We just, because we know that if we actually start to withdraw from Afghanistan and Iraq and, just start to, shrink this unbelievably out of control military budget down, we all are kind of on the same page that there would probably be a terrorist attack, right? Because it's like I saying, police need crime, for-profit medical industrial complex needs sick people. And this is what I'm saying is, there's alternative motives here that are just unacceptable. The CIA needs terrorists. The FBI needs terrorists. The Pentagon needs terrorists, right? There's a conflicting interest going on. And your interests are not being taken into account at all. I'm hearing him talk about this bullshit $3 trillion infrastructure project. They're like, oh my God, $3 trillion. That's all completely theater. Okay, you know what a $3 trillion infrastructure, that's like the same shit we've had for fucking decades. Oh yeah, let's just patch all the potholes and fix a couple bridges and we'll be like, fucking hey, we're the greatest ever. Instead of an actual new infrastructure project which would hire millions and millions of Americans back and forth across the country, providing good jobs, good wages, why don't we have that happening? Because we're too busy fighting a failed war on your children. We're too busy fighting a 20-year failed war in Afghanistan because the people in the Pentagon are complete fuck-ups who can't fucking win people living in mud huts and caves. What kind of fuck-ups are in the fucking Pentagon? Oh yeah, you can't cut our budget. The terrorists. Again, they need the terrorists. The CIA needs the terrorists. The police need the crime. The for-profit medical industrial complex needs sick people. These are very, very conflicting interests. And you don't seem to be taken into account at all. And you deserve better. We all deserve better. And I know we can do better. This is why I keep bringing these things up. So I'm going to play a video about generational wealth made through cannabis. Because I thought that was a really cool idea. And like I'm saying, it could be a reality if it wasn't for these people, the drug war profiteers. And we could do so much more. All right, here we go.
Back with Chris and Charles Ball from the Ball Family Farms. I appreciate you guys sticking around with us to talk about this.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So we were talking about cannabis, obviously, and just some of your backstory, what you guys experience in life. Prisons across the nation are packed with black people, as we had just mentioned, who are serving time for selling marijuana. Some states are in the process of decriminalizing it. New York, as I mentioned, just reached a deal to legalize recreational marijuana, and people over the age of 21 will now be allowed to grow it at home. A lot is actually changing. So what do you think about this? And Chris, we'll start with you first.
I think this is great. I think that the people who have been incarcerated for nonviolent, cannabis crimes should definitely be let out of prison, especially since this is now, a legal business. It has been deschedulized from a Schedule I drug in most states. So I think those guys, should be coming out of prison and should be given a chance to rehabilitate themselves and participate in the industry at this point.
And Charles, what do you think about the fact that they're making changes to where, like, even now, being able to actually grow it at home? That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's amazing. For individuals who use it as a medicine for medical purposes, that's going to be an amazing thing that they can do now. This company is built off of exactly that. Chris was incarcerated and now he's out, and now we're able to do something great. So the fact that they're giving these opportunities, I think, is a blessing, and it's well overdue. So. Again, I don't even think, most people will say that this shouldn't even happen in the first place, but now that we're here, it's great that we can make some change and show that it can be possible to do great things with this.
Now, you guys touched on this a little bit earlier. You talked about social equity programs that are out there now to help communities that are disproportionately impacted by marijuana laws, like obtaining licensing. How simple or challenging is that process?
That process is extremely challenging. And right now, the social equity program, I know at least in California and especially in Los Angeles, is pretty broken.
We have been able to navigate through it, but it has not been easy by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm a college grad. We both are college graduates, and the verbiage and the paperwork that went into trying to apply and obtain this license was not easy. And if it hadn't been for our COO, Ebony Anderson, who was an urban planner by trade, that if it hadn't been for her kind of walking us through and explaining that verbiage to us and navigating those waters, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Was it more difficult as Black men trying to open up a business like this?
I don't think it was a race issue, at this point, because the social equity license is for people of color. Pretty much, you had to be either incarcerated or you had to, live in a certain zip code or be in a certain or make a certain income, which was a pretty low income. So I think it was geared towards, our community and people of color. I just think that it was kind of set up for us to fail. I think it was one of those programs where it was like, okay, we gave you the opportunity, but you guys couldn't succeed at it. You couldn't navigate the waters. You couldn't understand the licensing process. So now we run out of time, and now we have to give these licenses to these folks who understand this. So I think it was kind of set up that way. Because there was no, I make the parallel all the time. When I got my scholarship to Berkeley, had they just admitted me to the school and didn't give me, financial aid, didn't give me a tutor, didn't give me any kind of consulting, didn't, give me priority registration, I would have flunked out of school. So the social equity program is the same way. They're giving you the license, but they're giving you no resources to be successful at it.
And also, Black people often face challenges obtaining bank financing for their businesses. What other challenges may an average person face, and what advice would you give to them to pass all of those hurdles?
I think a lot of the hurdles that you're going to come across is just simply the knowledge that comes along with a lot of these things. We, as a community, or at least where we come from, we didn't have access to know that we were supposed to go get plans done prior to build outs, or how to find electrical engineer or anything like that. So I think I do see a little bit differently. Chris said that I think just the color of our skin was the qualifier, but it's definitely not built for us to succeed. Financially, your licensing is going to be extremely expensive. The only way to succeed is by allowing, the money to come in, and we all know where the money comes from. So I think, as they continue to build on this program, they definitely need to help a little bit more, especially financially, and just giving the knowledge of this is how you do things. And I think that will take us a long way.
I also think that other Black, companies, other Black-owned cannabis companies who are having success, companies like ourselves, need to be able to kind of trailblaze and pave the way for people of color. We need to be that resource that people can call on and say, okay, Chris, okay, Chuck, you guys made it through. How do we make it through, and what do you suggest? And if we can't, we may not be able to help everybody, but at least if we can help one, each one, teach one, and if we can kind of pay it forward as a community and start to rally behind one another, well, then we can maybe create another Tulsa and Black Wall Street in the cannabis space, where that we are self-sufficient and self-reliant on one another.
I love that. And gentlemen, lastly, how rewarding has doing this been for your family? And either one.
Sorry, I couldn't keep going. I don't know what the deal is. I'm having attention span issues, I guess. I had enough of that. And actually, I was a little bit concerned when I was watching the video. It looked like while they're doing that thing about living the life, and all their pretty cars, I wasn't sure if there was music that they were dropping over that or what. And I don't want to put more of that up on the air if that's what's happening. So, but I thought it's an interesting video. It's not what I'm talking about. I mean, it's partially what I'm talking about, as again, helping people with the foot up, because this is this new, ever expanding industry, completely brand new, where anybody could make a fortune if they were good at doing what they do. So I think it would be very easy, again, to help people get started with the little piece of the American dream. But that's really not what I want. What I really want is I I just want all laws off cannabis. I want people to be able to take their flowers down to the local farmers market and sell their flowers like anyone else who takes their flowers or their vegetables down to the local farmers market and sells them. Because I think that would be freedom, and it would also be this thing where people that are really good at growing flowers could grow some amazing flowers without having to have this big old commercial license and pay for this big old building, which, you know, people come to and have to have employees and such. You can, in your backyard, you can grow beautiful flowers. In your closet, you can grow beautiful flowers. You know, take them down to the farmer's market. You make a couple $1,000s in the afternoon, and you go, that was totally worth it. Although it takes a lot of time, and it's not incredibly cheap. I mean, I went to the local grocery store today, and I had to get 4 bags of soil and a big bag of perlite and a big bag of hydroton, you know. And not that I'm complaining. I'm very glad to be able to do that. I feel very lucky to be able to do that. It's just, I'm just saying it doesn't come for free. So it's not like, you know. But I think that if you're, again, really good at growing flowers and people knew that you were going to be there on Saturday, on Thursday, on Friday, they'd be like, oh, I want to go get some flowers from this girl or that guy because they have the best flowers. You can smell them throughout the entire farmer's market. Even if you don't know where their booth is located, they have like a little finger that comes this way, right over here, folks. And I would just think that would be such a beautiful thing, you know, for local farmers, for, you know, and for freedom. You know, it'd be like, I don't have to go to the damn commercial store anymore. And my ounces aren't exactly 28 grams. They're actually 30 grams. You know, and they're amazing, fresh flowers. Oh my God, instead of stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months, right? I really wish that was the reality. And it seems like such a better reality for all of us, right? Everybody wins, unless, of course, you keep the black market. If this state has the black market and that state doesn't legalize marijuana, they still have the black market, and so then it becomes an issue. Oh, well, they just smuggle their drugs. That's why we have to have IDs on every single plant with barcodes, and they have to have cameras on them 24 hours a day, because that's what it takes now if you want to grow weed in this state. Commercially, if you want to grow weed in the state in the backyard, you have to have a script from a doctor that prescribes you the ability to grow this many plants, or recommends the ability for you to grow this many plants. I have the ability, as recommended by my doctor, to grow 15 plants at one time. So I will be doing that in our lovely backyard garden. I have Fast Buds seeds on the way. I got the Forbidden Runts, the strawberry banana, and they wanted me to grow the lemon pie. So we will be growing those, at least 3 of those 3, over the summer, which sounds so wonderful. I can't wait. Actually, I'm going to start some flowers tomorrow. I'm going to start some seeds tomorrow for a couple of my neighbors. I'm going to take them each a plant, and I'm going to start 2 plants for my UPS driver, because he said he had problems starting seeds last summer. He said he tried to start 2 plants. I can do that for you, no problem, man. Because you know, those guys work hard, and I've heard word about them being not appreciated and abused at work, at their workplaces. So you know, I want to make sure he knows someone appreciates him. And he's such a nice guy. So I'm going to start a couple plants for him. I'm thinking the blueberry headband and some Girl Scout cookies, something like that. That sounds nice, right? And I'll probably start the train wreck for one of my neighbors. Maybe I'll give the UPS driver the train wreck. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But and then I have all kinds of other genetics that we'll be growing in the backyard. Gorilla Glue, Mandarin Orange Cream. I'm going to start, my mouth's going to start watering here. So I'm really looking forward to that part of our video production here on YouTube. I have one video left, so I'll play that for you now. Or actually, I guess we're done here because nobody's calling. So, and that's why I do this. So that, you know, we can have a conversation and, you know, on topical events or whatever you like. And, you know, that's what Mox News has always been about. And I don't know how else to be more clear about that. That's what Mox News is always. It's not really been about you and I having a conversation. That's what it's about kind of now. But it was about just, you know, the whole group, everyone having a conversation. And I don't know. Everything's gone to shit. I don't know if people are able to have a conversation anymore. But at least not about politics. But it's thank you so much for showing up this evening. It's always better when you are here. Please don't forget that because it's completely meaningless without you. I'd just be sitting here talking to myself. And how can I could have a conversation that way, but I'd really rather not. So we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until then, stay cool because one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they